Well, we're just trucking along. Day 24, technically day 25. I will continue to say that as long as all the way to the end of this 30 days. Oh man, this is day 2 of the next macro cycle. So it talked about how I'm breaking up these cycles in previous episodes. And so for the next, let's see here. For the next cycle, I've got scheduled 500 lifts. So the previous month, I did 400 lifts, which is pretty high. And I'm just trying to see like what my threshold is here. And so this next month that I've planned out, which will probably stretch out longer than a month because I'm deadlifting every day, so I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit longer. So I got 500 lifts scheduled. Today I've got 15 lifts in total for the day. And I tell you what, man, like as these days go on, with the exception of the first week when I was doing my deadlift sessions timed, that was really stupid. I am really glad, I've said this several times, that I switched back to the variable overload method that we teach at the Plant Strong course. And I am 100% convinced that this is the only way to be able to pull every day for the last 24 days. So many huge benefits to the variable overload method. I've already talked about this in the intimidation of the weights episode, right? You're always pulling all these big weights at all times. So you don't ever have to worry about getting intimidated when you're reaching that 85% zone. And so, yeah, I'm convinced if you're ever going to attempt deadlifting every day, the variable overload method is the way to go. So today I want to talk about the Lifters Wedge. I don't know. I think I talk about this more than anybody that I know. Maybe because it was just such a game changer for me that aha moment when I first nailed my first solid wedged position. It was just it was an eye opener for me. It's kind of like for those of you that swing kettlebells around too. It's kind of that moment when you get the kettlebell clean down. Like the kettlebell clean is arguably the most challenging of the kettlebell exercises to, air quotes, master. It's probably one of the most simple, but it's one of the most challenging ones to accomplish. So when I achieved that first wedge position, it was just like light bulb moment. And here today, man, my wedge is on point. I can feel myself getting a lot of momentum. You can see here as I'm pulling double overhand, I had some aha moments here, double overhand, and I'm going to start experimenting with some hook gripping. I'm looking into some straps just to kind of test out this double overhand. But in that double overhand position, man, my wedge is just solid. And so what I've noticed, whenever I'm like, if I have a layoff from the deadlift, right? Like if I do a cycle, whether it's like 8 weeks or 12 weeks, usually I take like a few weeks off and then I'll get right back on the grind. And every single time, without fail, it takes me several weeks, almost an entire month, for that wedge to feel solid. And technically here I'm at day 25, so I'm heading into almost the completion of 4 straight weeks. And dude, this wedge it's getting tight. So you can see here, I'm getting ready to pull, I think like 157 kilos here. And 152 kilos. And just look at the position like that I get into. It's just the majority of my weight, probably like 80% of that weight is behind the barbell. Okay. And so the wedge is posture and positioning personified. I've talked a lot about posture and positioning, how it's the key to understanding jiu-jitsu, and it's also the key to taking your deadlift to the next level. That wedge builds your posture. It's going to build that upper back probably better than any other exercise that there is because it's specific to the deadlift, right? And as you build that posture and as you get stronger in that upper back, it's going to improve your position. And when you can maximize that position, it gives you the most leverage over the barbell. So if you take a look here at this position here, and you look at my shoulders, I'm trying to get most of my weight behind the barbell. See that? And then it's just straight up from there to the top. And the wedge today, man, it was killer. It was killer. It was just on point today. This was a 157 for 4, I believe. And the weights were just flying. They were flying at this point. So if you've probably heard me, and then the last thing that the wedge does is, so it builds your posture, it improves your position, and then from there, with those two together, you have the most leverage over the barbell. And then lastly, what it does is it shortens the distance that you need to pull. And every eighth of an inch or whatever you can get, it counts, right? It's just crucial here. And so if you want some more information on the wedge, you should check out my Deadlift Playbook, how to build a bigger deadlift without training like a powerlifter. I'll put it in the description area. Inside there, I link you to several wedge breakdown videos. I'll link a couple of them here in the at the top. Let me make sure I make a note of that. I'll link a few of them here at the top. But they're kind of naked to the uncoached eye here. There's actually 4 aspects to the wedge. So this here is 180 kilos roughly, like 395. And again, I'm able to get the majority of that weight, and I believe, and I'm already getting the weights to pop. And that's when I know that my wedge is like on point, is because as I start getting into those heavier weights, like you can see here, the weights are floating even before I pull, right? And I knew that wedge was on point when I'm getting ready to pull this next weight, which is 198 kilos, which is like 435-ish, almost 440. Because this was the weight before I pulled 290 kilos, so 639. This is the weight that I was able to practice my wedge with on technical days and be able to break the ground, hold that position, build my posture, and I would just work on breaking that ground with that weight. And that's what this weight is right here. So the moment that I set up and I wedged with this weight here, and I got the weights to pop and float before I even pulled, that's when I know that I'm on point, I'm on fire. And that's when I can feel like I just know I'm going to crush my next max attempt. And so there are 4 aspects to the wedge, the way that I teach it. And I'm not going to give them all to you because that's some of the goods. But I'm actually building an entire coaching program and an entire course on the deadlift where we're going to break down all 4 aspects of the wedge. Check out this right here. I get the weights to pop here just with the wedge. Boom, they're floating, and then pull. And then I think I have a double. So get the weights to pop and float, and then pull. And yeah, I had a little celebratory moment there. When I felt those weights float, that's when I knew I had it. And this is my last pull of the day. This is 220 kilos, so about 485. I was going to see if I could get, I've yet to get the weights to pop at this weight. But man, the way everything was feeling, I was like, man, is it possible? Can I get the weights to pop here at this weight? Anywho, as I mentioned, there are 4 aspects to the wedge. One of them is the one you see me do the most often, and that is wedging from the bottom. So I grab the barbell, right? I make sure I'm connected from the midsection. I come down, I grab, I pull myself in, and I keep my hips as high as I can, and then I try to get my hips as close to the barbell as I can. I crank my chest up, and then boom, and pull straight. That was a fast 485 for me. Probably the fastest that I pulled 485. That was like a 6/7 RPE. And so again, that's why I wanted to talk about the wedge today, because man, today it was just on fire. I mean, I don't know how or any way to explain it, but anyway, the wedge, there's 4 aspects. One is the wedge from the bottom that you see, and then I have 3 others. Number 2, I call the triceps wedge. That I cover inside of the... Do I cover it? I think I cover it inside the playbook. Then there's the top wedge, and then there's a reverse wedge. So these are 4 different aspects that I break down. I'm putting an entire coaching program together. So if you're interested in maybe working with me, learning how to build your deadlift, how to take that deadlift to the next level, drop a comment below and let me know if you're interested. And then I can put you on the wait list. And as soon as that's available, you'll be able to work with me in a close capacity, and I'll help you master the deadlift and take it to the next level. So pull at 220 today, 485, which is about 96% of my estimated max. So it's not my all-time max, right? My all-time max is 290, so 639. So I basically based my numbers for this cycle around 230 kilos, so like 505, 507. And what I pulled today, 220, about 96% of that estimated max, and it was just super light. So that's it, man. Lifters Wedge. You got to master the skill. If you want to know more about the wedge, grab a free copy of my Deadlift Playbook. This is formerly the Deadlift Blueprint. I've completely revamped it. I've added a couple of things to it, and it's a good starting point for you if you're trying to get back into the barbell deadlift, or if you're already a deadlifter, and some things you feel like you're missing, right? And maybe your deadlift doesn't feel as crisp. This is definitely a great resource to point you in the right direction. So that's all I got, man. 500 number of lifts coming up for the next cycle. 15 for today. Today was all about the wedge. I love talking about that position because it was a game changer. It's what changed the game for me with the deadlift, and it's what took me ultimately to 639-pound deadlift without a belt, without a suit or any of that kind of nonsense. Not that that's nonsense. Without having to train like a powerlifter. In today's pull, 220, 6 or 7 RPE, a lot of juice left in the tank. So that's all I got, man. Appreciate you watching. See you in the next episode. Peace.